Good evening and welcome. We are pleased to have you join us for the Dentistry and Oral Health Pitch Club. We have three compelling startups presenting tonight. We are also fortunate to have two guest hosts tonight, Dr. Edward Zuckerberg and Dr. Jeremy Krell, the co-chairs of AngelMD's Oral Health Clinical Advisory Board. Both Dr. Zuckerberg and Dr. Krell bring a wealth of clinical experience and insights as advisors and investors. They're both venture partners in Revere Partners, the first independent venture fund for oral health. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, allow me to tell you a little bit about AngelMD. AngelMD is an expert network centered around physicians, dentists, and startups. It also includes thousands of investors and other healthcare stakeholders. Our community includes a lot of tools for education, entertainment, and connection. We host Pitch Club every 2 weeks, and we have a daily industry briefing called Vital Signs, a highly trafficked podcast, blog, newsletter, and more. If you haven't joined, take 30 seconds and do so to get access to these various tools. We'll put a link in the chat. We have two sponsors tonight. First, I would like to thank BioWise Capital, a medtech investment group. They recently launched BioWise Fund 2 and are offering for members of AngelMD a chance to participate in the next 2 weeks before they limit LPs to institutional capital. They're hosting a briefing this Sunday and will circulate a link for those with interest. We'd also like to thank Elims for participating. Elims is a social impact brand at the cross-section of science-backed oral care and real sustainability. They believe you don't need to compromise your health to take care of the planet. Elims products are formulated by dentists and biotechnologists and backed by nature. They have a special product offer for attendees tonight, and we'll distribute the information in our follow-up email tomorrow. Elims will also have a room after to share more about their toothpaste and the company. A few quick housekeeping items. We are launching a poll designed to provide feedback to our presenters, and we'll provide the link in the chat. Please take a few minutes during the event to complete the poll. After each presentation, we will have Q&A moderated by Dr. Zuckerberg and Dr. Krell. So please put your questions in the Q&A section. Even if you don't have a question, you can review it. Following the presentations and Q&A, we will move into our live networking event. The sponsors and all of the companies presenting, as well as 4 Pitch Club extension companies, 3D Orthobiologic Solutions, Balanced Pharma, Sleep Architects, and Base 86 will have a table for you to join if you have additional questions for them. Thank you to Dr. Zuckerberg and Dr. Krell. With that, I want to introduce Nobio. The floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is John Scott. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Nobio. Nobio is a company based in Israel that has been searching for a solution to a challenge that has affected both all dentistry and all the dental industry overall. Currently today, the problem really is secondary caries. Secondary caries is something that every dentist and all dental practices are dealing with and trying to address every day. 2/3 of cavities treated in the US today fail due to bacteria and ultimately lead to secondary caries. Currently today, the products on the market, both fluoride rinses, resin modified glass ionomers, do help in prevention of fighting secondary caries, but they diminish over time and they're not long lasting. Nobio has been working on a solution to address this concern. And so I'd like to show you a quick video to provide you what Nobio has been doing.
A significant challenge in dentistry is the occurrence of secondary caries. At Nobio, we believe that prematurely failed restorations can soon be a thing of the past. To solve this problem, we need to prevent bacteria from creating biofilm on the teeth. This problem is difficult, as biofilm is highly resistant to disinfectants, antibiotics, and our own immune system. In response, Nobio is developing a technology that inhibits bacterial growth and biofilm formation without promoting bacterial resistance. It relies on antimicrobial particles, which are introduced during a material's production and transforms the material into a long-lasting antimicrobial. The particles, embedded into the material, attract bacteria with electrostatic forces, killing them upon contact and preventing biofilm production. This protection is especially critical at the interface, or microgap, between the material and the tooth structure. Nobio's proprietary particles have been investigated in dental materials like cements, sealants, composites, and endodontic sealers, and have demonstrated a broad-spectrum antimicrobial effect. The Nobio particles are insoluble and non-leaching, so they kill only what comes in contact with the surface of the material, without affecting the natural flora of the mouth and without degrading over time. In the future, we could see these particles incorporated into endodontic, orthodontic, and cosmetic dental treatments for improved care and a more positive prognosis for future generations of dental patients. Nobio, creating new possibilities in dental materials and elevating the standard of care.
As stated in the video, Nobio is now introducing Infinix. It's the first FDA antimicrobial dental composite solution. This is a product that is focused specifically on antimicrobial, killing antibacteria, and helping reduce secondary caries. The science behind the new technology and this new product is the quasi-particles. The quasi-particle is quaternary ammonium that's been embedded and covalently bound into a silicon particle. The silicon particle, as it's stated in the video, electrostatically attracts the bacteria and kills it, and ultimately reduces the demineralization process in secondary caries. Because it's covalently bound, it does not leach, it's insoluble, and it does not require chemical release or exchange like fluoride products currently today do on the marketplace. The research and science behind this new technology has been proven. We've done clinical research, both in many different studies on the reduction of mineral loss or reduction of demineralization due to using the quaternary quasi technology in the products, but also the antibacterial studies that have been taking place to show the efficacy of this product, both on killing bacteria, but also having a quick kill rate. This is an example of a 24-hour study that shows where in 24 hours, no bacteria is living versus the control. We also have a very robust research done on the list of microorganisms and bacteria that the quasi technology doesn't kill, including Candida. So there's a very robust list that I'm showing here on this slide. Along with this research and all this technology, it's not happened overnight. Currently to date, Nobio has been working on this technology in different formulations, different iterations over the past 6+ years. Currently today, the science and research behind this has led to both getting us receiving both CE mark approval, FDA clearance, and just recently our second Celerant Best of Class New Technology Award. And this is even before we launched in the US. Currently today, the product is sold in Israel. It is launching in the US later this month at the Chicago Midwinter Show. But at the same time, we're also in the process of looking for additional partnerships, both financial partnerships to help us with moving this technology forward and additional investors, but also manufacturing partnerships where we can incorporate this technology into other dental products, things like clear aligners, implants, sealants, but also non-dental industry partners like orthopedic devices, breast implants, and PPE materials. Nobio has been working on this for a long time. We're globally headquartered in Kadima, Israel. Our US office is in Middlebury, Connecticut. And we have a very strong and robust, experienced leadership team with over 15 years plus of experience in all key areas of leadership. Currently to date, we're focused on trying to change the standard of care, both in dentistry, but in other industries as well. The three key areas that I'd like to have you take away from this presentation is one, is we have a permanent and effective, long-lasting solution to secondary caries. Two, we have FDA cleared antibacterial, antimicrobial products that don't change the current dental workflow. And three, we have a very strong, ready to go to market technology that not only can affect and change the way dentistry is done today, but also affect other categories and other industries as well. Currently, if you have more information, please contact us or join us in the chat room afterwards. We'd love to talk more and looking forward to any questions you may have.
Thanks, John. So if I understand correctly, the Infinix product is rolling out very soon. Is that correct?
It is. We're at the end of this month. We're launching in the US.
And is there any change in the current clinical workflow that dentists use now in their filling materials to use the Infinix product?
No, we have a bonding agent in 2 composites, and they used exactly the same way their dentists are using bonding agents and composite in their current practices.
So for future expansion, you mentioned other products outside of dentistry, you know, like orthopedic implants and things of that nature. I assume that's in the pipeline down the road.
We've had some discussions with a few companies about, you know, it's mask and PPE, but also some other orthopedic or surgical type of implants as well.
Okay, and I'd like to remind the audience that we have an active poll that we'd like you to partake in about your interest levels on the proposal and pitch from Nobio. So please make sure to fill that out. It's only a few questions and won't take much time. The composite itself, is it a light cure? Is it a single viscosity, or is it you know, what is the formulation and how is it applied?
We have 2 composites. We have a universal composite and a flowable composite. Both are light cure. They will come in different shades. Currently today we have an A2 in both the flowable and the universal composite, but we also have an A3 in the universal as well. We are looking to expand our shade range, but it won't be 32 shades or that many. It'll only be, at the most, will be just a handful of shades that we're looking to use.
So we do have a few questions from the audience as well, and I know we've had a lot of technical issues, so I'm just going to throw this in there. Dr. Rothstein had asked earlier about orthopedic implants. I'm going to add to that and say, is there any resistant, like anything resistant? Would this be applicable to even titanium implants?
The question is, like with anything with different formulations, where we created different formulations for different
materials. Like right now, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so because of that, I don't know off the top of my head if we've done something with titanium, but I know we've done stuff with other orthopedic opportunities.
Got it. Do you have an idea of what the costs are of the secondary infections, both from the amount spent on the cavities or infections, or the amount treating infections after for these secondary infections?
You're talking about the dollar amount that's used for
dollar amount, general, basically addressable market in terms of what types of costs you're preventing by adding this composite into the mix.
Well, we look at it as it's almost a 2-in-1 type of product. It's a restorative product as well as a preventative, and so the technology, the classification we're really calling is an antimicrobial therapeutic treatment. As far as the cost of what the overall savings we're looking to try to make in the marketplace, that's pretty robust. I don't have those figures right in front of me, but it's obviously you figured 2/3 of what's being done today has some type of failure. So it's pretty significant when you look at the dentistry industry itself is billions of dollars, and not all of it's done with restorative, but it's still a significant part of what a dentist does today.
Do you see the composite adding a significant cost to the procedure?
No, in fact, right now the product that we're looking to launch this month in the US is going to be maybe a little bit premium, but it's not going to be above a 10% more than what we're looking for in the marketplace. It's very competitive with what currently people are buying today, just with a newer and a better technology.
Excellent. And I know this is actually a question that I had earlier, but I was trying to make sure, how can you be so sure that the product is non-leaching and persistent in its current use?
Well, first of all, it's covalently bound to within the particles, a silicone filler, and it's incorporated into the product and material itself. So it relatively resides on the surface, and it's embedded in the material, so it does not need to release. It's designed to be. It's actually, because of the electrostatic impact of it, it actually attracts both from a positive and negative negativity of the bacteria and the positive of the quasi technology, it actually attracts it and kills it from a membrane standpoint.
Got it. And just a couple last questions here as we wrap up. Following up on the cost structure, is it covered under standard insurance? Like, is this just part of another composite that would be added to the procedure mix, or do you need a separate approval?
Current today, it behaves under the CDT codes and insurance as currently based as a regular composite. We have petitioned or made a request in the ADA to try to get another set of CDT codes for it to try to get more reimbursement back from insurance and get approvals from that standpoint. But it's just in the preliminary stage of getting approval or being reviewed.
Got it. And actually, I'll just throw in a couple of these last ones since you're answering so efficiently here. Is it compatible with other composites? And do you have a flowable option for the composite?
We do have a flowable option. It is compatible with other composites. We do recommend using it as to get the maximum efficacy of the antimicrobial is to use it as a system. So like I said, we do have a bonding agent that also has antimicrobial and quasi technology particles in it. So that gives you the working together along with the composite. We recommend them to work together, but they can be used with other composites on the marketplace as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Ed, did you have any follow-up questions?
I wanted to ask about durability in the occlusal region. What, is the Infinix material able to withstand a heavy chewing load in molars?
We've tested it both in its strength. It's fared very well. We can call it a very good composite as far as both different flexural compression strengths and a bunch of other testing from that standpoint. So we have good physical properties so we truly believe we got a strong product as far as durability, not just from an antimicrobial standpoint, but from a long-lasting standpoint.
And talking about long lasting, what is the longest study you have that compares the rate of recurrent caries to other composites that are on the market?
We have some in vitro studies and we have some in vivo studies. The in vivos are shorter in time span, but the in vitro studies have been. We have the doctor who helped us develop this product and it had the product in their mouth for over 4+ years. But from a research standpoint, it's not as long as far as from a in vivo standpoint. But we're looking to try to continue to add more to that, and we have stuff that's currently in process today.
All right, excellent.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time tonight, Dr. Zuckerberg. Excellent moderating there. John, thanks so much. Truly an interesting product, solving some serious issues. And as an investor, I love the fact that it works right in with the existing workflow. I know we've got some people that have already raised their hands looking for beta test sites. So that's good news for you. Let's get you guys connected in the networking session afterwards. Next up is Daniel Singelar, and he represents Keystone Bio. Keystone Bio is a remarkable product looking to address a bacterial infection issue that I didn't even know about, but many of you probably do, but I guarantee you don't know how serious it is, but they're solving that problem for us. So Dan, take it away for us.
Excellent. Thanks for the introduction and good to see you all. So over the last 15 years, I have been, as I tell Ed periodically, I eat, drink, and breathe oral systemic health. I noticed back in the 2000s, I was a practicing wet finger dentist. And all of my patients that were in their 80s and 90s that were living very full lives all had the gums of a 16-year-old. And, there's really nothing you can have in your 80s and 90s that's a 16-year-old. So they had extraordinarily healthy mouths. And the ones that didn't were moving on to disease. So the outcome of that was, this is not about me, but I took a preceptorship, first dentist to take a preceptorship in heart attack and stroke prevention. The wanted need there was how to get the driving forces of the mouth off the table for everybody's patients, for physicians. And the outcome formed American Academy for Oral Systemic Health, progressed through the early 2010s. Probably about 2014, it became very evident that there was one specific keystone pathogen that was driving this problem. I'm the CEO of Keystone Bio. We're an early clinical stage biopharmaceutical company targeting that major driver of disease, the keystone pathogen Porphyromonas gingivalis. PG, I'll call it PG from now on. PG is a killer. It has the ability to cause numerous disease states. Keystone Bio has discovered why, and I'll go through some of that in a little bit. There's a huge problem. The consequences. Keystone Bio has the only biotherapeutic that's been shown to get rid of PG, and there's a huge opportunity here for all of us to improve millions of lives. Porphyromonas gingivalis in the mouth drives morbidity and death through systemic inflammatory disease. We have identified, while PG lives in the mouth, and there's 30 to 40% of adults that are positive for PG, we've identified toxic proteins that are released into the blood from PG, transported to various end organs and initiating inflammatory disease. It's been shown to elevate each and every one of the typical inflammatory biomarkers that we all get tested for. It is involved with most inflammatory pathways, and it's been found to release these toxic vesicles. I'm going to show my pointer. This is an oral biofilm, and oral biofilm is becoming a target of a lot of attention in research. There's over 10,000 papers on PG, and these are actual Porphyromonas gingivalis bacteria in the outer wall of the biofilm. These little blebs really play into why Keystone Bio has an innovative and one-of-a-kind way to get rid of those. PG has been shown to evade our innate and acquired host defenses, and there are no treatments currently to get rid of that. And it's been a proven contributor to vascular inflammation, cardiometabolic diseases, and neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's. So as I mentioned, there are over 10,000 research papers on PG. There's a lot of research showing so in this particular study, it reduced, by reducing PG, it was equal to or better than statins. PG also has been shown to be a known driver of Alzheimer's disease. Our research shows in the Journal of Alzheimer's a large amount of these toxic vesicles in the brain. As late as just 2 months ago, the GAIN trial released results showing that targeting Porphyromonas gingivalis in the mouth substantially slowed cognitive decline by as much as 50%. Nothing else has been shown to do that. We can now identify through oral testing and treat one of the best known major causes of sporadic Alzheimer's disease at its source. So the solution. Keystone Bio has the only therapeutic, it's precision monoclonal antibody that binds to those blebs that I was showing before. This is one of the bacteria, and all these little blebs are the toxic vesicles that are released throughout the body. Here we show in these slides our monoclonal attaching to those, basically killing. This monoclonal has been shown in human trials safe and effective to get rid of Porphyromonas gingivalis. So Keystone Bio has partnered with over 40 groups around the world. We have an Australian subsidiary. We're a full-blown clinical stage biopharmaceutical company. We have a mapped out strategy for our Series B. We've been through Series A. We have CGMP manufacturing of the product. We have tox studies finalized. We have done groundbreaking research and development. We have diagnostics in the pipeline. We also have an eventual vaccine potential going forward. Our Series B will take us through phase 2. Because of the large market that we're in, we see there's a good opportunity for orphan drug our status. There's also good opportunity for fast track and for compassionate use. We have put together a team that includes experts in their field, and we are all passionate about this subject. We've come from different areas of our particular fields: cardiovascular disease, biologics, and vaccinology, myself with oral systemic, and we are set to address all of these problems.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan, for your presentation and for joining us. Super impressive in terms of the research that you've done. So it seems that, when applied topically in the mouth, it substantially slowed cognitive decline and the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Is that right? And is that all by treating P. gingivalis, nothing else?
So that study, the GAIN trial, was performed by another group. They were able to show they lowered the load of PG by 70%, 70, and they had good results with those that had, exceptional results with those that had PG positive in their mouth. Our paper shows we would suspect it would never stop the flow of the toxins, but at least they may have had a pretty good result because they slowed it. Their particular asset was just put on FDA hold. It's a small molecule that's taken a certain number of times a day with a large dose. We have something that's very simply applied. Our particular treatment, it's a unique approach. We have a monoclonal antibody that binds to all of the energy sources of this bacteria. Those also are intricate with the toxins that are secreted into the blood that are transported to other sites in the body. So we have a monoclonal that binds to that, virtually killing the bacteria, already shown up to 9 to 12 months in humans. To put it into perspective, a dental cleaning never gets rid of the bacteria, just slightly disrupts the biofilm. The biofilm completely reestablishes with PG in about 7 days. Periodontal treatment, the same, never eliminates it. It returns within 30 days. So there is never a stoppage of that flow. We have a monoclonal that's painted on the gums. We envision this. It's a very safe, simple placement done by a dental professional. We assume they will be doing this every 6 months at your dental visit, painted on. I don't want to say it's painted on like fluoride, but it'll be rather simple. And we have diagnostics in place. So we will also be monitoring screening and monitoring treatment and diagnosing. There's also some real unique patterns we're seeing where, how could something cause so many diseases? Well, it's an extremophile. It's actually an apex predator we see. Nothing like anything we've ever seen. But then there are different, the host has different presentations with genotypes and with lifestyles that cause a little different approach to how the bacteria takes advantage of them. But this is an underlying driver of many, many diseases.
Dan, another question for you. Why doesn't the body have a natural defense system against the bacteria? Can you tell us a little bit more about why this bacterial strain is so evasive, why this has to be dealt with through a therapeutic, and the body can't eradicate this itself?
So it is the most extraordinary biological or evolutionary anomaly. This thing is like nothing we've ever seen. If you took H. pylori, this is H. pylori on steroids. It has its defense systems actually manipulate our immune system, both innate and adaptive. And it actually uses its own approach to that to feed off of some of the byproducts of our defenses. My first initiation into looking at PG was in 2010. There was a paper showing that it simply transported or changed our immune system from a destroyer to a carrier. So it has all kinds of, it has 151 virulent proteins to it. It has LPS, real intricate systems that explain why it's so readily able to do that. My guess is because it's a strange combination of an oral bacteria that has a systemic impact. So it's kind of grown up in the oral cavity, and the oral cavity is an environment where there's a lot of manipulation with inflammation. The same process to a certain extent that occurs in the mouth occurs in the body. The body isn't able to be so resilient. We disrupt biofilm, as practitioners in dentistry all the time. We go in for our cleanings and our scalings, and the body gets back to a healthy state. Well, we don't have that ability when it's shooting out these toxins into the body.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And thank you also, Dr. Krell. I have one question from the crowd that I'm going to throw in with, and then we actually have to move on to our next speaker. The question is basically the chlorhexidine mouthwash claims to kill P. gingivalis. How does this technology differentiate itself from that mouthwash and from other potential antibiotic treatments or the GAIN treatment that you mentioned, the GAIN study from earlier?
So, and I'm glad you asked that question. So Chlorhex, in the UK, Chlorhex is used over the counter, and it's used a lot. And they have done numerous studies, not to be picking on the makers of Chlorhex, but Chlorhex it's not supposed to be used as a long-term treatment. It disrupts the nitric oxide pathway by killing a lot of the good bacteria in the mouth. It is not a precision approach. Ours is a precision approach. There actually are studies showing that chronic use of chlorhexidine rinses do increase risk for myocardial infarctions. So we take an approach of a precision, the bad actor. We feel that allows the healthy oral biome to fill in the place.
And then compare that to other antibiotic treatments or to other potential treatments that might be out there?
No antibiotic has been shown effective, and we watch this landscape well. There's attempts on goal for this, but the biofilm has been very productive. If I'm suspecting that, and unfortunately the photo I was trying to show shows PG in the wall, and then how we attach to it and take that out. That is pretty much a foundational portion of the oral biofilm. And we have on our team Garth Ehrlich, who co-developed the biofilm hypothesis. He can speak to that much better than I can, but we have researched the intricacies of oral biofilm beyond compare, and this is a keystone actor in that system.
Excellent, thank you. And there's lots of other questions we didn't get to, including like who would qualify for treatment and their pathways to market. I encourage everyone to join Keystone Bio in the networking session afterwards to answer those questions and any other that might have come up. With that, I'm going to hand back to Jen, who seems to have fixed her technology issues.
So now I would like to introduce Daniel Weinstein, who is a co-founder and CEO of Lura Health.
Perfect. Well, great to be with you all tonight. Thank you so much for everyone at AngelMD and Dr. Zuckerberg and Dr. Krell for organizing. Really excited to share our story and to connect with members of the community. Our company is Lura Health, and we're making the first wearable sensors for saliva diagnostics. Saliva is a gold mine for health information. Many people in the medical community are even referring to saliva as the new blood of health diagnostics, and our sensors allow people to non-invasively and continually monitor diseases using saliva. So our very first go-to-market area that we're addressing is tooth decay and erosion. This is because of big market polls in this area, as well as the functionality of our current technology. So with aligners specifically, there are over 10 million patients who've received aligner treatments. Clear aligners are a huge market, growing in popularity year after year. The problem with aligners and retainers is that they can increase the risk of tooth decay and erosion if oral health isn't maintained during treatment. As aligners continue to expand, there's a need for continuous monitoring of oral health to make sure that the mouth is in a healthy environment and to prevent problems associated with tooth decay and erosion during alignment. We've developed a tiny sensor that monitors acidity in the mouth, which is a driving factor behind tooth decay and erosion. Our tiny sensors are integrated directly into retainers and aligners. They continually monitor acidity, and they send patients alerts and corrective feedback when acid is at unhealthy levels. So this has lots of value for many players. For aligner manufacturers, this technology can reduce the liability of tooth decay and erosion during alignment. It can also provide a differentiated product offering in a very competitive space. And to that end, we've received significant interest from clear aligner companies to partner with us. The dentists can use this technology to deliver better personalized prevention and track patient compliance to these personalized preventative plans. Patients can use the technology to improve oral health and reduce out-of-pocket spending. And importantly for our company, this go-to-market approach significantly de-risks the business. It gives us access to existing sales channels of clear aligners to get to the mouths of hundreds of thousands of patients very quickly. It also serves as the first step to expand our sensor platform to other medical areas. Now, to that point, I'll next talk about our monitoring system in more depth, as well as our expansion in the future to other medical areas. So over the past 4 years, we've developed a super tiny sensor that fits in the mouth in a retainer and aligner form factor. The mouth is one of the most hostile places for electronics, as you can imagine, and we needed to solve significant challenges in terms of engineering to get our product up and running. First of all, it's ultra miniaturized, it's super low power consumption, very durable to survive occlusive forces, biocompatible, and ultra waterproof. The sensor, as I mentioned, is integrated into aligners and retainers and embedded using our proprietary embedding process. And this first go-to-market product lays the foundation for our system and allows us to begin expanding to other medical applications. So in development now, we have other form factors, future form factors. So these are fixed devices, bands and bracket sensors, which are worn on one tooth. These are the delivery devices for many future sensors related to additional health conditions. So currently we have R&D going on to integrate sensors for chronic kidney disease, diabetes, and we have long-term R&D plans to integrate sensors related to other health conditions that are already monitored using saliva in point-of-care tests. The only limiting factor are the number of indications and sensors that are out there for us to integrate. So the sensor sends all the data to a smartphone where the patient can receive preventative alerts, and that data from the smartphone is then synced to our web portal, which we're actively working to integrate into dentists and doctors' existing electronic medical record softwares. So far, we've been in contact with the leading clear aligner companies, as well as many other companies in oral health and patient foundations. We have interest and intent to move forward with a large clear aligner company. Unfortunately, I can't discuss too much of that agreement because of confidentiality agreements, but we also have support from patient groups and insurance. As well, we have an existing strategy for using reimbursement codes and a defined FDA pathway to bring our product to market. In terms of the technology, we recently completed the HAX accelerator, which is regarded as the world's top hardware accelerator. This was in Shenzhen, China. So we were living in Shenzhen for over 1.5 years during COVID, developing the technology. We at first, had questions about whether being in China with COVID would hurt our development, but it did exactly the opposite. Being one of the only American companies left in Shenzhen during that time allowed us access to top-tier medical device manufacturers to allow us to rapidly iterate through different prototypes to get through our clinical units. So we currently have clinical units up and running. We tested them in a founder's test for positive results in all of our mouth. And we're now in our first in-human clinical study at University of Connecticut. So here's our timeline. There's a lot of stuff here, but the important things to focus on are that we co-founded the company while all the founders were at Tufts in 2018 or 2017. We to date have raised over 1.5 million in funding in a pre-seed. This has come from a number of sources. We've received a National Science Foundation SBIR grant. We also have won some university competitions, and the rest has come from dilutive angel and VC funding, including from SOSV, our lead investor from the last round. This funding has allowed us to get to our clinical prototypes to start working on our clinical studies, and we anticipate 2 additional funding rounds. The first funding round is our seed funding round, which we're in the process of raising now. This will allow us to clear FDA with our first acidity monitor, get to market, and finish R&D on the next sensors in the platform. The Series A raise after that will be to expand sales of the pH monitor and introduce our other monitors in 2024, which include the chronic kidney disease and diabetes sensors. So to finish up, we've formed a strong management team to go to market with diverse skill sets. We have biomedical engineering, software and computer science, orthodontics, and quality and regulatory. We also have assembled a diverse team of advisors, a growing advisory board with advisors in medical, dental, reimbursement, engineering, and business. Feel free to reach me at my email, and I can't wait for your questions. Thank you.
All right, great job. Thanks, Daniel. Salivary diagnostics, super exciting field with incredible potential. The pH thing is really helpful and really attractive, I think, to dentists in knowing which of their patients are going to be susceptible. But I'm wondering what you think that's a big sell on patients too. Are patients going to really accept the validity of pH data? And I'm wondering if you see that as an issue in getting acceptance.
I do see that as a big driver. So as I mentioned, a lot of our support has come from patient groups. So we're in contact with the Sjogren's Syndrome Foundation. We've interviewed many other high-risk patients. As one of the other presenters was mentioning, 2/3 of implants and oral procedures end up failing. When you spend $6,000 on an implant, that's an investment that you want to maintain. So for somebody who doesn't have, a lot of current or existing oral health problems, it might not seem like a big deal, but we talk to people who spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on oral health. They want to make sure their existing investments are being protected, as well as, new problems aren't emerging. And then, what I'd also say to this is that a large portion of people getting aligners are teens. These are when they're getting educated on oral health habits that, they can take with them for the rest of their life. So it's a great habit forming tool for them.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to really get our patients educated on the importance of that data. But, also equally exciting, if not even more so, is the ability to tap into other biomarkers that you may be able to uncover by wearing these, diabetes and kidney disease and things of that nature that you can pick up from the saliva. What do you see, aligners, people already wearing a foreign device in their mouth. So, I agree that's a great market because nobody, I think, would object unless it's really driving the cost up significantly. Do you see this as a big increased cost driver for someone to have a device like this on top of the cost of the aligner therapy?
We don't see it as a big added price. It's a slightly premium price point. And, a lot of aligners are covered using orthodontic codes in reimbursement. For patients who are covered or who don't have coverage, it'll be a slightly elevated price point. But again, for patients who have an investment to protect and have, a priority on maintaining oral health, the investment will surely pay off.
Yeah, so more of a challenge getting people to accept them bonded to their teeth if they're not wearing aligners. And I guess having to convince them that the data that you get from these devices will be helpful in their oral health care moving forward. You're currently limited only to interpreting diagnostic data, right? So if someone is at higher risk by virtue of having a lower pH in their mouth, you can identify that. Do you have any plans to move into any kind of therapy, or are you just going to work with partners who might be able to help them buffer their pH if they do have acidic tendencies?
Yeah, it's a great question. We really see oral health delivery as the missing link. So there's tons of products that neutralize acidity, whether it's mouthwashes, pastes, gums, mints, sprays. It's all known that when used at the right time, these products can neutralize acid, but there's not that personalized feedback loop to tell patients when they have overactive acidity and when they need to use those products. So we're partnering with the big oral health companies as a delivery mechanism to their already existing products.
And I know you talked about diabetes monitoring and glucose level detection as one potential for this. How does the data you're able to pull from saliva compare with blood glucose results?
Saliva is slightly different from blood glucose. However, there's been studies and clinical evidence showing that monitoring salivary glucose specifically is a useful tool in tracking outcomes of diabetes. So it's not a one-to-one match, but it's proven that those data sets in salivary analytes still have value.
And a lot less invasive.
Right, and there's already some products that are one-time sticks or other technologies monitoring, glucose and other biomarkers through point-of-care tests and saliva. We're just doing it in a continual way.
Great, thanks for coming on, Daniel. I appreciate hearing about this exciting technology you guys are partnering.
Thank you so much.
So with that, I again want to say thank you to all three of our presenters, John, Daniel, and Daniel. It's really amazing the companies that you guys are running and the innovation you're bringing. So thank you for the time you all put in getting ready for tonight and for sharing your companies with the AngelMD membership.